We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Friday when you listen to this. However, we are recording it on Thursday night on a Substack Live. Last time I did Substack Live, I had Will with me. Tonight, I'm all alone. And I really enjoy these because it's more laid back. We get a lot of good people coming through, a lot of questions, a lot of interaction, and we can have a good conversation when things are fucking going absolutely crazy in this world. Now, I happen to be in the suburbs of Minneapolis. I didn't see any ice today. I just got back from Savannah, but I'm hearing some horror stories out there, and that's certainly something we need to talk about. It's getting very frustrating for people in Minnesota, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Sloan says, hey, Sloan, how you doing? Good to see you. We got some people coming in. Now, I've told you before, your interaction is very important to doing these lives. It's not all about me just coming, pontificating, and talking my shit. Every one of us is important, and none of us alone can really do anything. It's when we all come together and fight together, that's when we have some impact. Spacer says, welcome to the rebellion. Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is a fucking rebellion. Never imagined I'd see that in my lifetime, but this is a flat-out serious rebellion. Vincent Johnny says Tim Walz should have deployed the National Guard. And, I've said that too in the past. Then I heard somebody else explain something. They said that he could deploy the National Guard, but then Donald Trump technically could supersede it and say, okay, that's an insurrection. And then he could attempt to federalize the National Guard, who was first put out by the governor. It would just create a mess. And this is where my frustration is. We have a faction of this government attacking us, the citizens of America. Then we got the other faction, the Democrats, and they're saying, oh, this is terrible. We feel your pain. Tough it out. Be strong. Don't fight back. And just vote them out in 2026. And I'm sorry. That's not a fucking answer to me. That's not acceptable. I mean, if you're a guy in the street and you lived in Minneapolis and someone smacks you in the mouth, you don't say, well, I'm just going to hold back until they're gone and then everything will be fine. No, I smack the motherfucker back in the mouth. That's just the way people are. And for us to sit here, Minnesotans, to just hope to get beat on by these people, get killed in the streets, get shot in the leg. I even heard a story recently that apparently a baby was affected by some pepper spray and had to be taken to the hospital. Two questions. What are you doing pepper spraying a baby, for fuck's sake? Secondly, what are you doing bringing a baby to a fucking protest? Come on. Be reasonable. Leslie says the AG of Minnesota has at least filed a lawsuit, but how long will it take to go through the courts? Absolutely. And if Donald Trump, and when he loses, will Donald Trump follow through with what he's supposed to do? These legal cases are fine, and they have some effects. We have Republicans literally attacking us and Democrats just saying, hold tight. You can't do this forever. You can't do this to people without some pushback. And they'll say, well, then he'll invoke the Insurrection Act. In fact, Donald Trump is threatening that. Okay. I mean, when you're pushed in a corner, you're getting your ass kicked and you have no options. What do? You fucking fight back. And these Democrats that are telling us to wait and hold back, they have to understand that. You can only kill so many people. You can only put so many babies in the hospital before people have had a fucking enough. They want an insurrection. Maybe that's what you give them. I don't even know what that looks like. It's ridiculous. But we're in a country that everybody claimed to be the greatest country in the world and that no one was above the law. We've just found out none of that was true. It's all been a joke. It's all been untrue since the beginning of time. Vincent Johnny, does Greenland have and minorities have time to make it to the midterms? Exactly. We can't keep allowing them to tear up a city that's fairly calm normally and kill people just to wait for the midterms. And then we hand it off to the Democrats, and these are the same Democrats that didn't protect us while this is going on. We've got a serious problem throughout our government. Republicans are the dumpster fire without question. But the Democrats, I've got some problems with them too, based on their behavior and their response to this situation. Spacer says one of Trump's Goonie ambassadors, specifically the ambassador of Iceland, said recently that after Greenland, they want to move on to Iceland, like Mustache Man was in Austria. Then it was Czechoslovakia, then Poland. This is going too far. Yeah, I mean, this is just a ploy to try to impress Putin and do the things that Putin did. This is unprecedented. Americans don't do this. American presidents don't do this. I keep repeating this over and over and again. And at some point when this is over with, you'll understand what I mean. Donald Trump's not going to last forever. If you saw him today, you saw he was slurring, he was breathing hard, he was slurping. This motherfucker's on the way out, and the sooner the better. But when he's gone, people are still going to want accountability for the many, many crimes that have been committed. And the people that are guilty of those crimes, the people that should be held responsible, is every Republican in Congress, because they've always had the opportunity to stop this, and they've chosen not to do it. Rita says, I don't think the family with the baby was trying to get away from ICE. I don't know what was going on there. I have a 7-month-old grandchild, and I'm a little sensitive to this. Again, if you have a baby, don't go anywhere near this shit. Or at least don't take the baby, for fuck's sake. Secondly, these people, these ICE folks, they're looking to inflict cruelty and pain. They're animals. We understand that there has been a leak of 4,500 names, addresses, and email addresses, or names, phone numbers, and email addresses of ICE agents. We need to exploit that. We need to make them accountable. Even though Donald Trump and the Trump administration won't keep them accountable, we need to do it. We need to put the pressure on them. They're already having trouble hiring more people. We've got to find ways to push back. If our government is attacking us and the rest of the government isn't helping us, it's up to us. And when this is all said and done, I don't want to see any Democrats waving flags saying, hey, I helped you, because you're not fucking helping at this point. I don't think, okay, let's move on. The regime has taken the Constitution, and you said as charming as Charmin toilet paper. Yeah, the Constitution means nothing to these motherfuckers. You can throw that, oh, you're breaking the Constitution. And there was a time that people would be upset about it. No, I'm not. These people are blatantly doing it and are proud of this shit. We're dealing with a different element, a different animal than we've ever dealt with here. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Can't even believe I'm saying that. I thought better of the Republican Party. I thought better of the people in power. But apparently they've all abandoned us. All of them. And I'd be happy to say that to any Democrat that steps up. What have you done? Well, I talked loud about it. I said, be strong. I know it's tough. I feel your pain. But in 2026, we're going to get them. Well, we were supposed to get them in 2024, and you fucked up and you failed there. So forgive me if I don't trust you completely. There was NATO troops being deployed in Greenland. Bloody Britain only sent one officer. Doesn't give me hope for Britain. Contributions to Canada, because in both world wars, Canada was there for Britain at the beginning. Yeah, there's going to be troops in there. But there was also this thing that came out today that said, I think it was Don Bacon, a representative, a Republican in the House, said if he goes militarily against Greenland, there's enough votes to impeach him. Okay, cool. But what about the Senate? If you impeach him, that's one thing. But will you impeach him and get him convicted in the Senate so we can get the fucker out of here? I mean, Jesus Christ. Now he's up for impeachment? Since he's been in office, he's been doing things, dozens of things that he could have been impeached for. And this is the red line? Killing people on the streets, not the red line. Crashing the economy and putting out these ridiculous tariffs, not the red line. Deporting citizens and putting kids in cages, that's not the red line. But if you go after Greenland, that is the red line. You see where my problem is here? These fucking people are jumping on board a little late. This could have been taken care of. We could have avoided all this shit had the Republicans done what they should have done in the fucking first place, the first day of this term. But they chose not to. They chose themselves as opposed to the citizens, the voters that they're supposed to protect, the voters that they took an oath for. They chose themselves instead. Spacer says, if you think about it, the Constitution is just a piece of old paper. All politicians see it that way. We need to forcefully remind them we care about the Constitution and the rule of law by any means. You make a good point. If nobody looks at the Constitution of any value, maybe we need to create some more fucking laws that are reasonable for this day and age. And it shouldn't be put together by a bunch of fucking politicians. We should do it amongst ourselves. We're the ones footing the bill. We're the ones providing the vote. So maybe it's us should decide what the Constitution should be. Spacer says, Vincent, and from what I understand, Canada was forced to be reckoned with on the battlefield. No doubt. Leslie says, neither our state or our federally elected officials have any idea how to stop this regime and protect us, their constituents. Yeah, you're right. And you know why they don't know? Because they let it go too far. We've never seen this before. They don't know what to do, but that's no excuse. Figure it the fuck out. Do something. That's the thing that troubles me about this whole situation. Tim Walz stands up, and I love Tim Walz, but he tells the story of what's going on and how tragic it is, and he understands our pain, and we gotta not give them what they want, otherwise there'll be an insurrection act, and just hold strong and vote for somebody else in 2026. When people are getting killed in the streets, that's not a reasonable answer. Whether I like Tim Walz or not, I don't accept that answer. You are getting paid a lot of money. You were elected to this office to come up with answers for us, not to tell us, I ain't got no answers. Just hold on. That's not acceptable. And if that's all you got, you shouldn't be in the position. Sloan says only 47 days of training to honor the 47th piece of shit. Well, yeah, and it looks it too. Have you seen these fucking clowns, the Apple Dumpling Gang running around in the streets of Minneapolis? Jesus Christ, I've never seen so many dumb fuckers in one spot in my life. Is it true that information leaked from ICE appears Enrique Tarrio is in the list? Is this true? Well, I was told that by a friend of mine. I just got back from Savannah. TJ the plumber told me that. And I would presume that TJ got it from a good source. And beyond that, it doesn't surprise me. You notice you haven't heard anything about the Proud Boys. You haven't heard anything about the Gravy Seals or whatever you want to call them. That's because they're all in ICE right now, getting paid by us to kill us. Yeah, Enrique Tarrio. Yeah, I'm not surprised he was in there. He was in jail, remember, until Donald Trump pardoned this motherfucker. Pardons him so he can come out and beat on citizens in this country. Somebody needs to find Enrique and send that motherfucker a little message. Spacer says, I don't trust Don Bacon. How many times do moderate Republicans say they have a red line, and when it comes down to it, nothing happens? You're absolutely right. I don't trust Don Bacon. I don't trust any Republican, any of them, not even Massey. I don't trust them because Massey was there in the beginning, and we wouldn't be in this situation if he didn't support Donald Trump early on. I don't even trust most of the Democrats either. See, that's the problem we have. We're in this situation, and the people that should be there to help us, the politicians, the police department, the National Guard, it doesn't appear as any of them really want to do anything to help us. And that's what's fucking scary about this thing. That leaves only one option. And I don't like that option. But what else do you do? An empire toppled by its enemies can rise again, but one which crumbles from in, that's dead forever. The Zemo quote works so well on how America and what it's going through. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Spacer says, I think Churchill said that too. Chris Phillips says, love your show. Watch it every day. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that very much. If only we could hold back our taxes. Well, some of that can be. Now, I will tell you this. People have said that, hold back the taxes. Payroll taxes, they go direct to the federal government. I don't know how you hold those back. But there are other taxes that are paid that go through the state. And I'm thinking at this point, given the circumstances, if there is a Democrat that has a bit of salt, a governor like Gavin Newsom or Tim Walz, if they're going to start cutting funding to the blue states, why are we paying federal taxes? A state like Minnesota pays more to the federal government um, than we get from the federal government. So conceivably, if we just don't send them whatever money we can hold back, um, then we should be able to pay for ourselves. And what'll happen is those red states will die on the vine. You know, there's one red state that you would think would be a giver, not a taker, but isn't. That's Texas. That's a big state. It's a profitable state, but they get the second amount more than they pay in. They're the second highest state that gets money back from the federal government over and above what they pay in. Texas. You know, I I know people in Texas. I love Texas. I love the scenery and all that sort of stuff. But that state is absolutely fucked with the current Republican regime there. And if the blue states could come together and just say we're cutting everybody off, we'll see how long that lasts. You can send troops into all these blue states, but if you don't have the money, you can't afford to do fuck all. Cory Booker said recently, we just need more training for ICE. So instead of getting rid of ICE, let's add more training to ICE. No, given the circumstances, when we regain power, we as a public should insist that they dissolve the entire organization. That organization has been tainted. No one will ever trust ICE again. You'll have to dissolve it. And I know there are Democrats out there saying, well, no, we don't. Yeah, you do. They're killing people on the streets, and you want to just train them better? Fuck you. If I hear Booker say that, I'll start talking shit about him too. I don't like him anyway because he's proven to be a suck ass, a grifter in his own right. Not a fan of Booker. I don't like Hakeem Jeffries. I don't like Chuck Schumer. Don't like Nancy Pelosi in her current stance. She was great for a time, but now she's just grifting money. Trevor Lee says ICE agents are just wussies. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Trevor Lee says Jonathan Ross is a freaking coward and a pussy-ass bitch. Yeah, exactly. This tough guy thought he did a legal shoot, yet now he's hiding. Everybody knows who his family is. His family won't do well in this state henceforth. People are not going to tolerate that. People are going to be coming after him. And as Keith Ellison said, there is no statute of limitations on murder. And when Donald Trump is out of power and he can no longer control things, there will be an indictment. There will be a prosecution. And Jonathan Ross will go to fucking jail because the video shows very clearly that he murdered an innocent woman. All right. I also heard recently about a Groyper congressman in California who thinks he can save himself from the gerrymandering that he is running as a Democrat. These people aren't too smart. They're not smart at all. Does he think nobody will find out, or maybe his opponent won't expose him? Fuck. People see, this is what bothers me more than anything. We're getting our asses kicked by people that are so fucking stupid. What is wrong with the Democrats? You keep getting pushed around by dumb motherfuckers. Vincent says any black and minority groups need to read the room and see that MAGA is not for them. Yeah, we do see people of color on the MAGA side. They'll learn their lesson ultimately. When shit starts going bad, they'll be the first ones that get thrown under the bus, and too fucking bad. I have no empathy. We have a Republican changing party to Democrat because he's running in a redistrict area. Well, good luck to him. If that's his answer to it, he's going to lose. There's no question about it. All you have to do is prove he's a Republican, and nobody is going to vote for him. I'm from Texas, and Abbott is pulling over every trucker with goods coming across the border, and it's creating hours of backup and will result in goods not making it to our shelves in the U.S. Inflation for sure. Yeah, exactly. They keep coming out and telling us, oh, the prices are coming down. We're getting all the criminals. The fact is, they're not, and we're not stupid. We can see that. We can see that it's not happening. We can see the opposite of what he promised is happening. People may be stupid, but when they can't afford to pay their mortgage or buy groceries, they're going to have to look to somebody to take it out on. And Democrats aren't in control right now. Rita Graham says he's going to need all the GoFundMe money for lawyers. Yeah, he certainly is. He's going to be on trial for a long time. He's going to be going through a lot of things. And I heard his GoFundMe, he got like 300,000 or something like that, which is crazy that people would send money to an obvious murderer. But I tell you, the one thing that makes me happy, kind of warms my heart a little bit, is you remember the guy when Donald Trump was at the Ford plant and the guy yelled out, "You're a pedo protector, a pedophile protector." Donald Trump got mad, told him to fuck off, flipped him off. Now he's trying to get the Ford company to fire him, but the union is standing behind him. You know what? They got him a GoFundMe too. This guy, JT Stabula, I think his name is. You know how much he collected? Well, last I heard, he collected about $800,000. Go ahead, fire the motherfucker. He's got enough money there to live for the next 20 years on the rate of pay that Ford was paying him. So I'm glad to see people got behind a guy for just simply stating a fact. Donald Trump is a pedophile. More and more is coming out to illustrate that, and I'm looking forward to the moment that everything comes out. And see, that's one of the things that bother me here. We've had some things leak out from the Oversight Committee that have come by way of the Epstein estate, right? We've seen them come out. We know there is some damning photographs. Some of the reps have even said, we've seen some appalling things. There's some terrible things here. Well, what are we waiting for? Put them out there. Once we can cut the head off the snake, we can start making some traction here. So if the Oversight Committee has pictures in their possession from the state and they haven't released it yet, I need to know fucking why. What kind of game are you playing? Is this some political game you're playing by not releasing it? Let's get this fucker over with. Vote all the Democrats to support anything the Republicans do out. They deserve nothing from the Democrats. If they do support Republicans, then vote them out. I'm done with these lame do-nothings. Yeah, I agree with you. Spacer says the era of bipartisanship is over. Well, that's been long over. I'm willing to say this. I don't think it's about Democrat and Republican anymore. It's about right versus wrong. You're either on one side or the other. You're on the right side of history, the right thing for the people of this country, or you're on the wrong side of history. You're on the wrong side of history, fuck you, take a walk. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, but if you're a Democrat that's on the wrong side, fuck you too. We don't need you. Vincent, Renee Goodchild got doxxed. They doxed what school they attended to. Oh, it doesn't surprise me. And the fact that there are Democrats losing their shit over the stuff that they're doing to a poor woman who was killed, murdered unnecessarily, senselessly. There is no bottom for the Trumpifiers. There's just no bottom for them at all. In terms of these people of color supporting MAGA, Vivek Ramaswamy is learning that the hard way. Yeah. Vivek Ramaswamy isn't going to get elected governor or senator or whatever he's running for. I don't fucking care. He doesn't have a prayer. He's brown. He's immigrant. He has an immigrant family. The Republican racists aren't going to vote for this guy. I'm just saying. Will said, you've heard him from the show. He was on Substack with me last time, and I heard him say this. Minnesota won't let the National Guard out because they're afraid they will join ICE and execute protesters. Does that sound right? Well, if it's true, it's certainly not right. I don't know that that is true. That's the other thing we have to factor in here. Is there a point? Is there a red line when the military says, no, we're not doing that? Apparently, invading Greenland, they said they aren't going to do that. They told Donald Trump, we're not doing that. That's not going to happen. But would they do that coming into a city like Minneapolis? My hope is they would. But honestly, it's hard to know. It's hard to know if they would actually do that. Remember that Judge Dugan resigned rather than stand up for the law? Yeah, a lot of these people are running and hiding. Man has died from being choked in custody of ICE. There have been more people die of ICE in this first year than ever in the history of ICE. It's more than triple of what happened last year in 2024. 2025, there was like 32 people who died, and in 2024, there was 12 people that died. Inside Score says the Republicans are waiting for the primary and will turn on Trump after that. What good does that do? What are they waiting to see if Trump fans will vote for Trump's endorsees? Have some fucking awareness, motherfucker. Wilfredo says some Democrats support ICE. They don't want it abolished. They want them restrained or retrained. What the fuck? Yeah, I agree. You may want them retrained, but this is like a rabid dog. You got a rabid dog. Might have been a nice dog at one point, but it's rabid now. You're not going to get it back. You're going to have to put it down. You may not like it, but you're going to have to put it down. And if these Democrats who watch these clowns kill people in the streets, if they say they should continue, they need to fucking go too. Just like they had that black Republican lady who tried to be governor of Virginia. Yeah, they don't vote for people of color. ICE and Border Patrol have been murdering people along the border for decades. They have never been held accountable. Yeah, I know that to be true. Whether these people are immigrants, illegal immigrants, or whatever they are, this has been going on for a long time. This is why I say when people look at America and say, oh, it's the greatest country in the world. No, it's not. I wish it was, but it's not. Everything we see shows that that's not the case. Vet these ICE agents now. I bet most of them are criminals. I bet a lot of them are criminals. And vet them, well, the people that would vet them would be the DOJ and the Department of Homeland Security, but they aren't doing it. They're desperate to get more ICE agents. They're having trouble getting ICE agents in because they're becoming a little afraid of coming into places like Minneapolis when things have stirred up this much. They don't vet anybody. They'll take anybody with a fucking pulse and a racist mentality. Well, one thing is for sure, they're all broken human beings. Normally, healthy adult could not do what they do. Yeah, there's no amount of money you could give me, even if I was desperate to do the things they are. These are truly broken people, and these people do need to be held accountable, and I believe they will. These people are all committing crimes, and when Donald Trump and Pam Bondi are no longer around, they better start looking over their shoulders because there's going to be people coming after them. Do we have the correct number of people who died or disappeared by ICE? I would say probably not. If you're looking to get numbers from the Trump administration, take a look at the employment numbers, take a look at the GDP numbers, take a look at all the numbers coming out. They're either not coming out or they're falsified. So, no, I can't imagine we're getting real numbers. Let's see here. A Bush era angels that we didn't need. It was only created out of a fear post 9/11 to target the Islamic community. That's exactly right. Came out of 9/11, and it was another Republican concept. So why Democrats are still behind it, I have no fucking clue. Republicans cried Riley Lincoln's name, and Democrats signed on to the anti-immigrant fascist bill. But when ICE kills U.S. citizens, Republicans blame the victim, and Democrats are radio silent for the most part. Yeah, exactly. But I will say this, I think ICE is justified that Ashley Babbitt got exactly what she fucking deserved based on their criteria for shooting people. So suck on that, you dumbass motherfuckers. I'll never have the correct number of people that have died under ICE custody. I agree. We'll never know. They can't be retained. They need to be rewired with morals and ethics. What do we know about pedophiles? They can never be rehabilitated. They'll always have this problem. And I think people like that in ICE are much the same way. If you were born and raised and you had ingrained in you racism and cruelty and fascism, I think we can make them better and make them normal people. We ain't got time for that. We need to do away with them one way or another. At the very least, cause them to crawl back under their rocks and hide for their lives. Karen says, I heard somewhere that there are families are abandoning their ICE children relatives. Not sure how true it is. Yeah, I've heard maybe this is what somebody was talking about earlier. Maybe I misread it, but I'm hearing there are some children of ICE agents that are doxing their parents, which is interesting. I think these kids understand that they're going to be left holding the bag after their parents have done some extreme damage, and people might hold them responsible too, and that's distinctly possible. Um, what's going on now is pretty much what I expected, not specific things happening. But as I've told you with Donald Trump, he's a narcissist. Once he gets into a corner, he starts to spiral and then he starts flailing. He does everything. He's doing anything to get popularity and it's not fucking working. So he does more shit. He doubles down, he triples down, he quadruples down. And so it's going to get messier before it gets better. The only promising thing is when we get to this point, that means that we're closer and closer to the end, to the final crash. I don't know if you heard this story. Donald Trump was desperate to get the Nobel Peace Prize, and he was working very hard at it. Hell, he had killed a couple hundred people just to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Just hear me out on this and see what you think. It sounds crazy, but remember, we're talking about Donald Trump. Um, Donald Trump goes down and kills more than 100 people by sinking boats in the ocean, innocent fishermen. Then he goes into Venezuela and starts bombing the shit out of that and kills at least 100 more people. He then kidnaps the president, Maduro. Now, some people think he wanted to get this dictatorial regime out of there, but that wasn't the case because he would have taken the whole regime if that's in fact what he wanted to do. Now, there's another woman with the opposition party in Venezuela. Her name is Maria Machado. Maria Machado supposed to be better than Maduro. I don't fucking know. Um, but somehow she won the Nobel Peace Prize. She legitimately won the Nobel Peace Prize. So now that they went down and got Maduro, we're trying to decide what Donald Trump is going to do down there. Of course, Machado would like to be installed as the president. Donald Trump said he didn't think he would do that because Maria Machado had the audacity of accepting the Nobel Peace Prize when everybody knows he should have won because he's killing all those people. So what does Maria Machado do? She says, "Oh, I'll give it to you. I'll just hand it over to you." So Maria Machado was in Washington, D.C. yesterday, and just handed it to him. And the dumb, pathetic motherfucker took it. He literally took it. It's a fucking participation prize. Now, the Nobel Peace Committee pointed out when this was being talked about, well, you can give him the Nobel Peace Prize, but the winner is the winner. He isn't automatically the winner of the Peace Prize. He just got another fucking trinket, another trophy of something he didn't earn, a participation trophy. He didn't get the trophy, so he cried and whined until he forced Maria Machado to hand it over to him. Now, see, here's the problem, and here's the fatal flaw. Maria Machado gave it to him in hopes that he would show favor to her and install her as the president of Venezuela. Honestly, I don't even know if he has the power given the circumstances. I don't. He's still going to have to fight the regime. They're not just going to walk away because Donald Trump told them to. So they're going to have to fight for it. So what's going to happen is Maria Machado thinks she's got it in the bag that she'll be president of Venezuela, but Donald Trump can't deliver, or better yet, Donald Trump may not care to deliver. He's got what he wants. There's nothing forcing him to do what Maria Machado wants. Maria Machado will find out very soonly. Anybody that does a deal with Donald Trump gets fucked over every time. Every fucking time. She's not going to be put in as the leader. If the current regime does exactly what Donald Trump wants to do, then he'll stick with the current regime. He doesn't care who's running the country. He doesn't care if the dictators are horrible because he's a dictator and he's fucking horrible. This is about money. And if, in fact, he does try to get Maria Machado as the president, there's going to be a fight. There's going to be a war. Absolutely going to be a war. All right, let's see. Did you hear that the plane that bombed the fishermen, including the 2 survivors, was painted as a civilian plane? Yeah, it was illegal for them to use that. It was a civilian plane, looked like a civilian plane, and they still bombed the piss out of these boats. This is so typical of Donald Trump. He's a fucking coward. What'd you think the fucking fishing boats were gonna fire back at you? You had to go in there stealth-like because you were afraid of fishing boats, you pussies. Elisa Slotkin is a disappointment, saying that we need ICE, though I'm not surprised she gave that lame-ass Democratic agenda plan for the new Trump regime. Elizabeth Warren gave the Progressive Caucus agenda, and I know I'd rather support who I'd rather support for leadership. Yeah, no question about it. Slotkin ain't the answer. Warren, she's closer to what we need. Trump received a worthless piece of metal today, like a baby getting his binky. It's a fucking insane. It's pathetic. The fact that he took it is an embarrassment. And I don't understand how he doesn't see that it's an embarrassment. All right, I looked into it. Machado comes from a center to center far right coalition party. So really both sides, it is about the bottom line. Yeah. I don't think Machado's a whole lot better than Maduro. That's just a climate of the country. I will say this to the Nobel Peace Committee, though. What happened here today when Machado just handed the Nobel Peace Prize off to Donald Trump, that cheapened, that tainted the whole prize. That was an insult to anybody who legitimately won the Nobel Peace Prize. And it would make me question who wants to accept it now in the future after what happened here. I question now whether Machado even deserved it, how she got picked to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Is the Nobel Peace Prize committee just as polluted as the fucking Republican Party? I don't know. I don't know anything about them. But whoever gets the Nobel Peace Prize next year or whenever they do it, I don't know what to think. Is it a good person? Is it a bad person? We don't know. So then what does it matter about a Nobel Peace Prize? I also realized coming up, which should be funny and entertaining, pretty much a glorified SNL sketch. Trump has his next State of the Union coming up in the next few months. Can't wait to see that shit show. Yeah, that should be interesting. If Donald Trump can hold up, I don't know if you saw him today, but he was slurring and slurping and sniffing and confused. This guy can't have much gas left in the tank. And I'm looking for that moment when he runs out of gas and just crumbles in front of everybody. Will says European troops are in Greenland, WW3 on the horizon. Yeah, I don't know if Donald Trump would actually send the military in there. He's offering to buy them for $700 billion. $700 billion? That's just so short of what our defense budget is. Our defense budget's like 900 billion, short of $1 trillion. Donnie, where are you getting $1 trillion from, the tariff money? Because you don't have that much from the tariff money, and you promised to send it out to the people, which you haven't fucking done. Wilfredo says Machado is a problem. Yeah, she's a problem. I don't give a fuck. I don't. At this point, we have so much trouble in this country. I don't care what happens in Venezuela or Israel. We got to focus on our shit. We got to get healthy before we can worry about anybody else. Problems with the two-party system. The Republicans got taken over by a cult. The Democrats got packed with corpos who pushed down any progressive movement. Yeah, the progressive movement seems to be where we need to be, assuming we can get enough people to vote for the progressive movement. And I would hope that we get the interest in that with all this draconian shit that's going on. I have a question. Maybe Will can answer this for me. No, I'm sure he can't answer it because nobody can answer it. With all this other bullshit, with killing people in the streets, we still have this situation with the ACA subsidies. Now, I'll tell you one thing. They have spent $30 billion on ICE so far. That $30 billion would be enough to extend the ACA subsidies for 1 year. But Donald Trump has chosen to kill people as opposed to give them health care, just so you understand that. But we've been hearing about these subsidies and the votes and the extensions and stuff, and it did pass in the House. The last time I heard somebody talking about it said, we have till the 15th of January to get this figured out. Well, guess what? 15th of January, we don't have a vote in the Senate as yet. And we don't know that the Senate is even going to vote for it. And moreover, if they do vote for the ACA subsidies, then Donald Trump has to choose to sign it. Is it fair enough to say we've already blown up the ACA by taking 24 million people off of the ACA rolls? That's going to have a devastating impact on the Republicans, and they fucking deserve it. I'm glad it's going to hurt the Republicans. I'm horrified about what's going to happen to 24 million people in this country because of the Republicans not giving a shit. Greenland has rare earth minerals, Trump wanting to be a tougher guy while also being a guy in front of China. You know where we got our rare earth minerals, most of them, 90% of them, China. But then But then he put the tariffs on China, and China said, "No more rare earth minerals." So now he's going to Venezuela, he's going to Canada, he's going to Greenland, trying to find a way to get rare earth minerals. Because you know what they need those rare earth minerals for? Making cell phones and computers and things like that. Donald Trump fucked up, he's trying to fix it, and in the process, he's starting World War III. Good job, Donnie, and as I've always told you, if Donnie's doing it, he's going to fuck it up. AOC said all the ICE money is coming from the ACA money. I really do think they are winning. I don't know that they're winning. Well, they're winning now. Will they win ultimately? And is the ICE money coming from the ACA? That's distinctly possible. That wouldn't surprise me. Rita Graham says it failed in the Senate. Well, it did fail in the Senate the first time around, but they're going to have to look at it again after the House passed this version, unless something happened today that I didn't hear. Jimmy Kimmel said that if Trump were to put on Jay-Z's wedding ring, it doesn't mean he'd be married to Beyonce, referring to Trump and the Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah. Or if you put on a Super Bowl ring, that doesn't make you a great athlete. Okay. Karen says, I heard Senate didn't vote for it. So Will, can you check for me? Did the Senate vote today on the bill that came from the House regarding the ACA subsidies? Did they vote on it today? They voted on something similar way back and they voted against it. And I don't know that they would vote on this particular bill from the House. But I did not hear that the Senate did not pass it today. I'm not saying you're wrong. I was on the air in the air for a few hours and I've been kind of out of touch, so I may not know. All right, Will says it's dead. The Senate, John Thune, wants the ACA dead. Trump has a framework for a health plan. Republicans believe that ICE and immigration are the way to win the midterms. Okay, Will, I know you think that it's dead in the Senate, and I don't necessarily disagree with you. Did they vote on the bill coming out of the House today? Did they vote on that bill? Is it actually dead? Theoretically, I know what you're saying. It's dead because the Senate doesn't want it and they're going to do this. Was there a vote in the Senate today on the ACA? Still negotiating as of now. Okay, there was no vote yet today. And my point is, they said they had till January 15th, and today, as we're recording this, is January 15th. Okay. The odds of a deal have been slim for months. Now, on the day the ACA open enrollment ends, even the optimists have grown pessimistic as the working group falls behind its self-imposed timeline. The Senate left town Thursday for a 1-week recess. Okay. That says it all. I mean, whether they vote on it or not, if they don't vote on it, it's fucking dead. Well, the Republicans got what they expected, and we'll see how that works out for them. It won't work out for them. ICE is not going to benefit them in the midterms. Okay, Will sends this link, which I'm not going to pull up, from CBS News. And do we believe CBS News for anything? Not anymore. But it basically says the tax credit extension bipartisan deal is stalled. Is that not surprising? The only good thing that could come out of this, and there isn't much that could come out of it, once this devastation hits and 24 million people are without health care, it's going to cause some immense problems. And hopefully, at some point in the near future, people will have a stronger appetite for universal health care. They're going to need to fix some things. And going back to what it was won't be the most beneficial to them. Hodiner says, hasn't the 2 weeks passed? Where is Trump's health care plan? He announced something today, but it was more of the same. It was bullshit and accounts and sending money to people. I will tell you this, he talked about sending $1,500 to people. We know that people's, healthcare is gonna go up by $1,500 to $2,000. A one-time payment of $1,500 isn't going to do jack shit. If they're going to try to fix it and keep people on the rolls with some kind of healthcare, they're gonna need to send people $1,500 a fucking month, and they aren't going to do that. CBS is now suing Warner Brothers. Now they're throwing a sissy fit. You know what? This whole media stuff, whether we're talking about Paramount, we're talking about CBS or Warner Brothers, fuck them. That's old news. Nobody's watching mainstream media or network news anymore. Their ratings are falling off a fucking cliff. You can't trust anybody out there, so don't watch them anymore. There's really of no value. Anything you want to watch in terms of entertainment you can get in streaming. The news you can't trust. So come to YouTube or Spotify or TikTok and get your news from somebody you trust because there's nobody out there you can trust anymore. We have to deal with corporate Dems to get universal health care. Yes, we do have to deal with corporate Dems. And the best thing we can do is get their fucking asses out of there. You know, primary season is also primary season for the Democrats, too. Hopefully, David Hogg and his group are getting enough people to primary these corporate Democrats to get them the fuck out. Spacer, what was with the dog head costume party at Mar-a-Lago? Sometimes I think it's just getting creepy. Just getting creepy? Yeah. Yeah, there's some weird shit going on at Mar-a-Lago, especially now that we know Donald Trump was basically running a feeder system into this pedophile fucking ring. Anybody else says that, you would think, oh, that's conspiracy theory. Haven't we seen enough documents to know that there is some kind of ring going in? There was at least going on. Is it not enough that we've heard that Donald Trump was just not a participant? He was probably a partner, if not the kingpin. We need to get these Epstein information out. We know the oversight committee probably has the kill shot video or picture or document. Put the fucker out. Somebody can leak the shit out. Here's what I'm telling you. If you take the head off the snake, meaning Trump, all the other information will flow. He's the one responsible for holding everything back. Get him out of the equation. 25th Amendment, impeachment, or he keels over with a Big Mac stuck in his gullet. I don't give a fuck what it is. Once he's gone, then a lot's going to come out about him and everybody else. Hodiner says, without the ACA subsidies, aren't the insurance companies going to take a hard hit? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Hodiner. 24 million people get kicked off of healthcare. People say that's terrible for the people that no longer have healthcare. That's true. But it's also going to cause a huge hit with the insurance companies. 24 million people aren't going to be buying shit from them. So theoretically, it could trickle down and cause everybody else's insurance to go up. So now you got the entire country being affected by this. And this is why I'm saying if something like that occurs and everything goes to shit, people might be ready to go, fuck it, let's get universal health care. Be damned the corporate Democrats. Let's see here. The new CBS anchor ratings are crap. He called himself the new Walter Cronkite. The new douchebag is who he is. Wouldn't watch CBS News for anything. And apparently I'm part of a big crowd. The word just there is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Trump had a stroke 6 months ago. Info leak, Trump is barely functional, hence the uptick with ICE, etc. Yeah, you know, when somebody that's a narcissist thinks they've got nothing to lose, they get very dangerous. The people around him should know that, but I think the people around him are just as dangerous. And they're looking to light this fucking candle and see what happens. Sadly, I think that's what's going on. But I would hope the Republicans in Congress would take notice of this and understand how they are going to take a beating when this is all said and done. They should have walked away from this a long time ago, but they're fucking cowards. I sometimes think the oligarchs are, for some reason, scared of Trump. Trump invited Rodriguez from Venezuela to the White House, and the oil companies, ExxonMobil, pushed back and they weren't invited. I'm like, so what? They won't get any oil anyway. Well, did you hear this story? Tell me if I'm wrong about this. I heard it from a few sources. You know how Donald Trump was grabbing up those tankers and his intention was to take the oil and resell it? Apparently, he's done that with the first tanker he took. He took the oil, he's a fucking pirate, probably a butt pirate too, but he's a pirate. He takes this oil, sells it for $500 million. And then what does he do with it? He takes that money and puts it on an offshore account in Qatar or something like that, a terrorist supporting country. And he's the only one that controls that. I mean, I got to believe the Republicans even can see how that's a little fucking shady, or maybe they don't care. Um, let's see here. Has to be Russian and American money going to these Canada separatist movements. Yeah, no doubt. They're probably funding them. Will says insurance companies have raised rates to everyone to compensate. Yeah, they have raised, but they've always been doing that for decades. I'm just wondering when you lose 24 million people, you're going to have to take a bigger jump than sometimes they do. Janet says, yes, Wilfredo, he did have a stroke 6 months ago, and it's obvious today, but they can't talk about that. Biden looks a little tired, and it's a big flipping deal. Yeah. They'll prop that motherfucker up as long as they can. But he's not a strong man. He will end with a flourish. Will says, I need Stephen Miller on a guillotine. That's an interesting statement, and there's some statements I would make about that um, that I probably get kicked off for or visited by the Secret Service. But we have some very specific people in the administration that are pulling the strings. If they could no longer pull the strings, things would change. And there would be some concerns by the administration. Will says the money is in a Qatar bank. Yeah, that's what I hear. What do we know about Qatar? Qatar supports terrorists like Hamas. I wonder how Israel likes the fact that we're putting money in a bank in a country that supports their enemy. Spocer says Peltola in Alaska entered the Senate race. Let's see if Alaska can be smart for once. Yeah, I'm not counting anything on anyone out there in those red states. Every time you think they're going to do the right thing, they always fuck it up. Spacer says Taiwan wants to cave for the aid against China. Trump wants a taste of that. TSMC Taiwan semiconductor money. Yeah, you think that China's going to share with Donald Trump? What Donald Trump doesn't understand, he thinks China is their friend, his friend. He thinks Russia is his friend. But Russia and China will do what they always do. They'll use Donald Trump and then they'll throw him away. And they'll throw him under the bus and steal him fucking blind. Donald Trump is that stupid. That's the thing that's most troubling. Yes, he's draconian. Yes, he's dangerous. But he's also stupid in the process. To some extent, that works in our favor, but not as of late. We've got nobody on the Democratic side who's going to exploit that stupidity. It will ultimately cause him to crash, but in the process, a lot of people are going to suffer. A lot of people are currently suffering. That money in Qatar is escape money for the Trump family. When Trump dies, the family is exposed. Um, that may be. That may be. Donald Trump's not going to escape. Donald Trump's and will not be glorious. He will not be remembered well. He will be a pariah. And I will guarantee you this: the Trump family better get the fuck out of the country because they're going to be in some deep trouble. And I don't know that they can run anywhere really at this point. They might get some money and go to Qatar, but if they're here, I've said before, if Trump has grandchildren, they better change their fucking last name because the history books won't be favorable to the Trump name. Thoughts on the new EPA rules about polluting only costing companies money instead of lives? Yeah, that's not surprising. Donald Trump doesn't want any kind of regulations on anything. And anytime we don't have regulations, you see what happens. Things get fucked up. Spacer, well, it was more on Taiwan's side. Taiwan is the largest producer of semiconductors and what those rare earth minerals are used for. If Taiwan falls, electronics prices will skyrocket when China controls the bank on those. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. See what Donald Trump is doing right now is not only damaging this country, but he's doing some incredible damage internationally. I understand that Iran has also made another threat on Donald Trump's life. And they said something like, our bullet won't miss. And I got to be honest with you, when you're dealing with a country like Iran or some of these other countries, and you're in the crosshairs with those countries, time to be a little fucking nervous. They're very inventive, they're very effective, and they're very efficient. And to those countries, Godspeed. Will says we will win in spite of the Democrats. The midterms will change both GOP and the Dems. The Democrats will not be the same. I'll make this guarantee for you. If in the midterms we get rid of the Republicans and the Democrats take control of the House and the Senate, and if we get a Democratic president, you're going to see a little different show here with the Rational Boomer. I'm going to be climbing all over the fucking Democrats that are doing everything they can to not work for the people of this country. Doesn't matter to me if you're Republican or Democrat. You're either working for us or against us. If you're working against us, you're my enemy. You're our enemy. And we're going to fight you to the fucking end. All right, we're coming to the end here. Put in an hour. Get a little tired here. Got off the plane a little bit ago. I want to thank you all for joining me on this Substack Live. Like I've said, your participation is absolutely crucial to doing anything of any value when we do these TikTok Lives, and I appreciate it. For those of you listening, I want to thank you for taking the time to do that. I hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.